Guess who's back? The Phoenix has risen from the motherfucking ashes. One day post surgery. Rejoice, Viking Nation. Literally did not get a minute of sleep. Where do I start then? A lot of swelling. A lot. So like this part is not supposed to be so asymmetrical and stick out. Looks like my horse is not here this morning. By the way, a male horse is called a stallion. I was calling it all kinds of things last video. One thing though, how does that work with Meg the Stallion? Like why is her name Meg the Stallion if she's a woman? I don't really. Those are like US ebonics you guys have to educate your boy on. Where do I begin then? So many memories. Let me walk you guys through what actually happened, what we did yesterday. So I get there, and my surgeon, he's a rock star, man. He's a piece of work. He pulls up and he's like, so at this point I'm in the bed, I'm ready to go, I'm in my gown, and he pulls up and he's like, so what are we doing? I'm like, well, you tell me. He's like, oh, you tell me. And so I said, well, I thought we were just gonna take out, the small bit of the metal plate that's exposed, cover it up, and let it heal. He's like, yeah, we can do that. That's what I was thinking. And then he starts like feeling my face and starts feeling the metal plate, which goes from here all the way up to here. And then he's like, well, the thing is, especially since you came all the way from Mexico for the surgery, we might as well, like, if you want, we can take out the whole thing. So I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we can just remove the entire metal plate. It no longer really serves a purpose. The scan indicated that the jawbone has healed sufficiently and has grown super strong over the years. I like to believe this also because I take 2 types of magnesium every night. I'm big on calcium. I eat a fuck ton of yogurt, so like my bone strength should be through the roof. So yeah, when the jaw was installed with the hip bone for my left hip, it was brittle, it was fresh, it was not sufficiently strong to carry that load. That's why the titanium plate was needed. But now we're about, I want to say 7 years later, 8. You can just take it out. And I felt kind of anxious because I had to make like a split decision in like a minute. Like, imagine, guys, I've been mapping this out for 4 months, planning it meticulously, and all of a sudden I kind of have to be like, oh, and I was just like, pros and cons, what, and he was like, oh, there's not really any cons, it doesn't serve any use, it does not really provide extra fortitude at this point, and yeah, the biggest pro is you're here now, we're ready to go, might as well do it all together. But what that meant was that decision took the surgery from making a minor incision and a removal, something that would literally take maybe like 20 minutes. It turned that into a face-wide cut, as you can tell, through the whole range. But yeah, we did that, and the surgery ended up taking, I think, close to 2 hours. And I'm so relieved, man. I'm so happy I opted for that. Because now, theoretically, in principle, hypothetically, I could go without another surgery for the rest of my life, bearing the hypothesis that I will no longer want further improvements or additions like teeth or more tissue from the side, which right now I don't, because I also discussed that with him post-surgery, and he was basically like, look man, of course we can take another flap. A flap is like any piece of meat, tissue rather, that you harvest from your body and that you then paste upon your face. But you also have to attach that flap to the blood canal, the vein. What's the medical term for that? Well, you guys know. It's really frustrating and annoying when people are like, you know, why can't they just print a new jaw? Like, ain't no printing nothing, guys. Like, when it comes to that, medical technology is not as advanced as you guys might think. The only thing that can work and stick for me is living muscle tissue that comes from my own body. It can't even be from another human. Trust me, my mom has offered plenty of times. So it's really complex. On top of that, I've already had all of my best flaps harvested and used, so we're running out of options. Just running into my basketball coach. What's up, coach? Coach, who's the best player on your team?
You.
What's my nickname on the team?
Big Denzel.
Big Denzel and?
The King.
The King! This is the Phil Jackson of my hometown. Anytime I'm in town, I go and play with the team, and he's running the team like an expert, so shout out to coach. Is het nog samen? De kleine ook stemmen. Zie je zo, jongen. Prachtig. Je hebt vrij nu deze voormiddag.
Ik heb een belofte deze week.
Ah, zalig man.
Het is,
top.
Ik was naartoe aan het wandelen, onderweg naar de winkel.
Zalig.
En dan...
Ik ben juist geopereerd gisteren. Dus,
ja, aan je kaak tegen.
Ja.
Dat was er glas aan het komen.
Ja, dan kwam er deur, hè. Dan de taalstaker deur. Maar goed, ik kom wat gezet, ik zie hem nog.
Oké.
Hey, doe de groet aan de Fanny voor een trouw.
Ah, is goed, ik zal het doen.
Hou het veilig, hè.
Altijd.
Watje, coach. Yeah, that was some Flemish Dutch for you guys. So I'm gonna leave that in. Why not? Little Dutch Easter egg. So he's, by the way, I've known that guy since I was like 9. You know, that's the beauty of being back home, man. You just run into people. It's really nice. So they harvested all of the good flats already. So if I want to make further improvements right now, we're talking pectoral removal, rear deltoid removal, my calf. I don't want to sacrifice none of those things, and I'm sure I never get to my surgeons never understand that, because they're like, what do you mean? Like, they're just thinking about functionality and they're thinking about the face, right? They don't take into account that I'm absolutely obsessed with my body and my muscles, and that's all I got left, basically. That sounded kind of sad. But I mean that, like, I'm not willing to make my face better if that means me walking around with one pec or less of the rear delt. I am extremely proud of my upper body. I consider it my life's work. It is my Sagrada Familia, my cathedral, my holy, my temple, and I just don't want to make that trade-off. I might change my mind in the future as I get older, who knows? but not right now. And that's another point I want to make. If I were to opt to add another flap right now, you're looking at 2 years before it actually would look better than it does now, if even. Because in the beginning, when they add a flap like that, it's not like this. It's not symmetrical. It's not nice and even. It's a big ball of flesh, just like that's sticking out. And then in time, they make it so that it, looks like a real face. But I'm 37 now. I'm not about to sacrifice my absolute prime years, 38, 39, like the last pure raw years of youth, just so I can look better for who? Society? You? Some girl? Fuck that shit. It is what it is at this point. So that's where my mind is at. And then on top of that, another argument, you can tell I thought this one through. I want to keep some flaps in the tuck, in the vault, for if, knock on wood, I'm a goof, an accident happens. I'm riding a motorbike in Puerto Escondido in Oaxaca, not manifesting this at all, not, and I fall on my face and I need emergency surgery, and then, gotta make sure I still have some options. The best flaps, and I'll get off this topic because I know I'm being very technical and medically specific right now, but I figure some of you might find this interesting. The best flaps one has is the one on the forearms, because it's the thinnest, finest skin. It has had the least sunlight exposure, and it is the most flexible and soft and less fatty. But as you can tell, I've already lost and used both of mine, which is another story about having had a plastic surgeon that botched it. He could have, when he used my last available flap, he only took, and that's, so this part right here that's missing, that's this strip. But that strip should have been 3 times that size. But this goddamn idiot didn't seem to understand the assignment, and he sacrificed that flap. You can only use it once and cut there once to make a strip, when really he should have taken 3 times that size, and he could have fully covered up the radiated area. The reason why it looks like that, so brittle and weird, is because it's radiated tissue. So it's in a constant state of necrosis. Necrosis, it's dying. It's just dying a slow death. Radiated tissue never gets better again. It just slowly dies. So he could have solved all that by taking a properly big chunk and closed it shut. And I would have been a literal Adonis. So lucky for you, you didn't do that. And I still got to compensate with my great personality. But all jokes aside, and so yeah, and if you're wondering well, why, how could that happen? This is because way back in the day, and this is a big reason for me talking about this, to educate guys and to educate people and to inform you guys, I used to be just like everybody else. I used to have a blind faith in my surgeons and my doctors. This is not the same surgeon that worked on me yesterday, to be clear. Guy from yesterday is a fucking star. He saved my life. This is a plastic surgeon who now no longer even works at the hospital where he performed that surgery on me. So that should tell you all you need to know. Get a second opinion, get a third opinion, get a fourth opinion. Don't be like me and my parents, where we just blindly bought and believed everything they told us. We were just oh, we're so grateful that you want to help us, Mr. Surgeon. It's surgeons are really good at talking with a certain cadence, with a certain self-confidence, and they sound very absolute when they communicate. They ooze and exude supreme self-confidence and zero self-doubt. So it's easy to think and to assume that they always know what they're doing. They don't. I can't stress that enough. Anywho, back to current day and age. I did find that important to include that in this video. Now, I woke up. I felt like I got hit by a truck. I saw my surgeon. He was really satisfied with the result. He mentioned that one of his assistants said during the operation, during the surgery, that we might use a so-called expander on me to create more volume. An expander is a medical device where you basically insert a metal device like this in the location where you want to expand the tissue, and every day you widen the expander so in time, and then so the idea is that the tissue adapts slowly and grows and stretches out, and every day you're like slowly like, and that way the idea is more volume. But that's also something that we're not going to do anytime soon, because my surgeon also said, bro, you're good now, like you're stable. Next day I'm out here walking, no tubes, I can talk, I can eat, I can communicate. Like, you get to a point in time, guys, and I know this might be hard to understand for people who have never gone through this, but at some point in time you just want to be able to function and live and walk around autonomously, clean yourself autonomously, eat autonomously, even if it's messy. It is what it is, man. And I'm very much at that stage in my life. Now, speaking of cleaning and eating and all that stuff, man, being back in that bed yesterday and being rolled around, it brought back so many memories. And something I've always said is that I'm a firm believer that one of the biggest things about our will to survive and our ability to survive. Like, think about how much trauma human beings endured throughout history, like how savage we were in the last couple of thousand years. And what I'm getting to is, I think it's like installed in our DNA. There's some type of like genetical thing that has caused evolution, that evolution has caused us to become extremely good at forgetting and pushing away trauma and bad stuff, which then again is the same reason why everybody always seems to think life used to be better before, high school was better, the 90s were better. Plot twist, that's not true. And if you could go back 1 year to 96, you would probably lose your mind and be like, what is this? You know, same with people. We do the same with partners. I do the same with partners all the time, where, you know, you can't wait to get rid of someone, or you're sick of them, but then you find yourself 1 or 2 years down the line absolutely glorifying them. That's what I always call being in love with a ghost, being in love with an idea, being obsessed with this illusion you've created. And I'm not gonna get into another ex-girlfriend rant, but I implore any one of you, because I always get questions on my lives about how to get over someone. I implore yourself to really make the exercise of sitting down and in a state of meditation, try to like really dig and repaint the picture of what that person used to be like, and why things got bad, and why at some point you were like, fuck this, I'm out. Like, because but it's hard. Like, I've done it, and then it doesn't matter if you do it, the feeling remains. You have to like constantly remind yourself. But we're just so good, guys, at pushing away the bad stuff. And so yesterday, when I was in the hospital, I was so triggered by the smells, by everything, the nurses, and Man, did I get some crazy flashbacks. I forgot how horrible it was to be just at the mercy of people helping you with everything. Yeah, still processing some of that. I might get back to that in another video, but I feel like this video, I just want to give like a bigger overview of everything that happened yesterday. And then, yeah, in regards to that, I just feel so incredibly relieved. Like these last 4 months leading up to this, I've been so focused on mapping this out and getting it done, and I can barely believe it's actually done right now. But I'm so relieved, and I'm just taking it all in. I was thinking about doing a trip like end of July, a little trip with some buddies to Barcelona, which, as you know, is where my YouTube channel started, and that was my old stomping grounds for about 5 years on and off in total. And I thought about visiting Barcelona, but then I realized it's just not what I really want. And I just want to be present here. I want to focus on spending time with my friends and family. But also because I feel like something is telling me that next summer I will have left Mexico City. The way I'm feeling right now is I think I have a year left in me. And you guys know me, I never make rash decisions. I'm a planner. When I made that leap, when I made that jump to Mexico City, that was me coming out of my breakup of my last long-term relationship of about 3 years. It took me about a year and a half to make that jump. With me just plotting and thinking, and so that's how I am. I need time to process, and I'm still processing, but I'm like, I think this is the first time I've said that out loud, where I think in a year that adventure will be over. That's how I feel right now. Subject to change, obviously, but that also ties into me not wanting to spend budget financial resources on going to Barcelona, because as you guys know, money is tight in a sense. I have to be careful with what I do, and it just makes a lot more sense to not go to Barcelona, hold on to that budget and spend it on doing New York. I haven't actually really ever done New York properly. I did it like 16 years ago for like a day and a half and don't even have a single memory. So I basically never did New York. I just want to focus my budget on things that I can jump to relatively cheaply from Mexico City. So New York, San Francisco. I want to go to LA again, hit up Gold's Gym again, meet Michael Hearn. That's still a goal. And yeah, you need money for that, so can't have it all. And given the fact that my priorities lie with getting closer to my family as time progresses, it's more likely that I'll be in Europe next year. Not necessarily Belgium, but Europe. So who knows? It might even be Barcelona. I don't know. Maybe. If I do move to Barcelona, I would have to get a remote job, a fully remote job that pays me a wage that is not based in Spain, because it's just impossible to make money in Spain. Wages are incredibly low throughout all sectors. It's just not a place to make money. It's usually like that. You can't make money in paradise. Money's made in cold places, in dark gray cold places. But yeah, so that's just, I'm getting ahead of myself. I just wanted to share my thought process with you guys. I'm also intending on, I also have a strategy to, because I want to give it like one last like super hard push in Mexico City to try and like really, make my life better there. And I've been really getting into this yoga community. Been going hard at yoga, and they're actually doing a 5-day yoga retreat in Guatemala in the middle of August. So I am very much considering to jump in on that. I've been looking at that. 2 reasons. I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I can hit up Guatemala, which I've never done, which I'm never gonna do once I leave Latin America. Like, I'm never gonna be like, oh, let me try to Guatemala. Like, it's not gonna happen. And 2, I can 3 birds with 1 stone. 2, I can get way better at yoga by doing it intensely for 5 days. But then 3, I can also really root myself much deeper in that local yoga community from that local yoga school in Mexico City in the Ronda Norte, and that can kind of kickstart a new social life, a new social group that I can use as a foundation to better my life. And one thing about being an expat, you don't want to make too many expat friends, which is exactly what I've been doing, because they all leave, they all go. And then you're constantly rebuilding and starting over, which is highly frustrating and draining, and which is also a big reason why I felt so unhappy and alone and unmotivated the last couple of months in Mexico City. Alright guys, I'm pretty gassed, I'm pretty exhausted. I wanted to shoot this first thing in the morning because I know because I'm already tired, man. The anesthesia hits you so hard, it cripples you, and I didn't sleep this night, so I already know I'm going to spend the whole day just laying on the couch, resting and reading. I'm about 300 pages into this book called Lonesome Dove. It's a Western novel that won the Pulitzer Prize. Leave a comment if you read it. It's pretty good. Definitely started off slow. First 200 pages were kind of slow, but it's about some cowboys. It's like a cowboy novel, and I'm really getting into it now. And it's also about change, and I'm embarking on an adventure, so I feel like it's very applicable to my current life and feelings. So that's a book tip for you guys. That's it, man. I know this video is all over the place, and I apologize if I didn't mention specifics enough. Maybe you were expecting something else, but this is the best I could do today. So I think there was a little bit of everything in there for you guys. Leave a comment, hit the like. And I don't know when I'll post this, because like I said, I don't want to put the pressure upon myself to like do bi-daily uploads again. I just need to recover and rest and heal up right now. So next time you see me, my face should be already a lot better. Thank you all for your support. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Peace out.